Hi, I'm Holly Berrigan. I'm the founder of Misa Natural Wine. These are the 5 things you need to know to successfully ride the emotional highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. Number 1, you need a partner. It's typically not nearly as effective to try and do everything yourself, and it's always great to have someone else there to help you with the highs and lows of business. My company was lost before I got a partner, and there's no way we'd be where we are today if I was going it alone. Number 2, you need a plan. Your plan is always going to change, but it's so important that you actually have one. Going into anything blind is always a bad idea. Sometimes I look at our initial business plan and I think, this is so silly, this is not what we do anymore. But without your initial course, it's so hard for you to actually be able to tell if you're on the right track or not. And it's okay to always edit the plan, but you need to have a plan in place. Number 3, you need to have a passion. Being an entrepreneur is 10 times harder than having a regular job most of the time. So if you're not truly enjoying every minute or most minutes of what you're doing, then you're going to become miserable very quickly. You can ask anyone that knows me how much I talk about wine, almost to an annoying level, because I'm obsessed with it. And if I was not obsessed with natural wine, this company would not have survived, because the highs are high and the lows are low. And if you're not completely committed and passionate about it, it's really tough to stick with it. Number 4, you need to have a practice. Sometimes passion for your company is not enough, and it's really important when you're going through hard times with your company to know yourself, know how you process, and have a way for you to recenter yourself, both your body and your mind, so that you're able to continue performing during these really crucial and sometimes really not fun times that you're going to have in entrepreneurship. Whether for you that's having rituals around the morning and before you go to bed, whether it's yoga, breathing, journaling, there are tons of ways for you to have a practice. It's really just about knowing yourself and figuring out what works best for you to help you process when things are not great. And finally, number 5, you need to have patience and you need to have perseverance. So anyone that seems like an overnight success is never actually an overnight success. You have to work at things most of the time, on average, for years before you actually see the fruits of your labor come through. Most of the initial parts of entrepreneurship are really difficult, and they'll stay that way for months, most of the time years. So if you don't have the patience or the perseverance to push through, and the passion that we talked about earlier, it's going to be very difficult to actually get your company to the tipping point. For us, our tipping point was COVID, because we do e-commerce wine. As you can imagine, that went very well when everyone started staying home. We worked 2 years leading up to that with other jobs and getting creative to pay our bills before we actually hit that tipping point where the company was truly paying for itself. So you have to make sure that you have a plan and that you're patient, and you're going to be able to persevere until the point where you're actually able to let the company thrive on its own. So those are my 5 things you need to know to successfully ride the emotional highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. I hope that helps you get started, and I hope that you truly find your passion.